Hello, my name is KK Owen and I'm a leader coach with Studer Education. It's my great pleasure today to introduce Mark Bielang, the Superintendent of Portage Public Schools in Portage, Michigan. Mark has partnered with Studer Education for quite a few years, and this year they're working on a pretty unique project. So his presentation is listening to students and the stakeholders who support them. And it's about the process of building out values for their school district and starting with student voice. Enjoy the presentation.
My name is Mark Bielang and I'm the Superintendent of Portage Public Schools in Portage, Michigan. Today I'd like to share our story about how student voice plays an important role in the work that we do. This is the story of listening to our stakeholders, starting with our students, as we undertook the important work of identifying our values, developing a definition of equity, and creating a declaration statement of who we aspire to be. Our journey began in the spring of 2021 when we made the decision to move forward even as we continued to deal with the effects of this pandemic. To be successful, we relied on what we've been doing for several years, listening to our stakeholders and taking action on their behalf. First, here's a bit about us. Portage is located in southwest Lower Michigan, immediately south of Kalamazoo. Our mostly suburban district serves approximately 8,900 students in 14 buildings. There are 8 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 3 high schools, one of which is an alternative school. Our free and reduced lunch meal percentage is approaching 30%, and approximately 50 different languages are spoken in the homes of our students. Oh, and did I mention that we're home to Pfizer? If you received the Pfizer COVID vaccine, please know that it was manufactured here in Portage. During COVID, we, like most of you, were in response mode and needed to collect data from stakeholders more quickly. Using pulse surveys, we surveyed stakeholders in a quicker cadence and took action much more rapidly. Here's an example of the questions that we asked our parents. One of the habits we've developed is the collection of perception data at an expected cadence. Over the years, our stakeholders have grown accustomed to these opportunities for input. They trust the process, and they also know that data will be shared and action will be taken. What you see here is what our normal cadence is, or at least was pre-COVID. We did the same with students and staff asking similar questions. Stakeholders trusted us to listen, and they gave us a lot of input, especially through our open-ended questions. We also knew from past experiences that surveying alone isn't enough. It's what we do with the results that makes a difference. Hopefully that sets a stage for our work around developing values. So here's our why. We saw an opportunity to continue to move forward even in the midst of a pandemic. Somehow the timing seemed right to us. This year, we're celebrating our 100-year anniversary as a school district. I was looking for something that would serve to honor our past and unify us as we move into our next century of existence. The values work seemed to make sense. And based on our earlier conversations, the other two pieces, the definition of equity and a declaration statement, were a natural fit with this work. So I started the process with our students. 3 years ago, I formed a Superintendent Student Advisory Board. This is a diverse group of high school students who meets with me on a monthly basis. It allows me to listen to student voices on issues that are important to them. Things like what they like about the district, concerns they have about their learning environments, and what they would advise as next steps. We've built a trusting relationship over time, and they know that I listen to them and value their voice. I knew they would be honest in providing feedback about the work we were doing around values. Ahead of that, we created a district values team made up of approximately 50 people. They represented each of our 14 buildings, the school board, and administration. We needed this to be an inclusive process. As the district values team got to work organizing itself and putting together a survey for our stakeholder, which included our entire student body, I took the opportunity to gather the first feedback from my student advisory board. I explained our process and what the goal was, and then asked these students to participate in a separate survey so that I could gather their input first. What you see here is the introduction to the survey. Capturing student voices helped lead the way, and it really did set the stage for the work ahead. We asked students 3 questions about values. which were important to them individually, which values they thought were currently at work in the district, and what are the values that matter for the future of the district. Here are some of the values that students surfaced that matter to them. The ones with an asterisk are those most often stated by my advisory board. The highlighted values denote the match with the values teams. And it was this exercise that gave us some readily available information about what students were thinking and what they were saying. This is what we learned about values that they thought were currently at work in the district. We also did this with our values team. And finally, we wanted to look at the future. We didn't just want to capture what we had. We wanted to look at the gaps and begin to identify those values that were missing or that we aspired to. I also asked the students about equity and what mattered to them. This was through an open-ended question, and here are some of their responses. It was clear to me that students were speaking their minds, honestly sharing their ideas about equity, and again, these voices provided a powerful beginning to the work of our district values team. Here are some other quotes that we received from our students, and it never ceases to amaze me how insightful our students can be. And for me, it validated the importance of listening to our students. Here's the process as it unfolded from this spring through the summer and now into this fall. We formed our district team. We surveyed our stakeholders, first of all, starting with students. We've been reviewing results. We've been finding themes. And our next step now is to draft language for values, equity, and our declaration statement. The district values team also initially drafted 6 sample declaration statements. The respondents were asked to select their top choice. And here's what we heard from students, staff, and parents. The 2 star choices were the ones that were most chosen by all of our stakeholder groups. Now the work of the team is to use these top choices along with all the other information they've received to mold a declaration statement that we can take back for further feedback. And here's an example of the work by the district values team as they sift through the hundreds and hundreds of ideas offered by stakeholders about what the word equity means to them. These key words that are most often repeated by stakeholders are the ones that are highlighted. And we're using this information to build out a definition of equity that works for us here in Portage. So what's next? We've completed the highlighted areas. Over the next several months, we'll be rolling out draft statements to our students, to our staff, and to our parents. We'll be connecting with our community through town hall meetings. We'll be processing the feedback we receive, and then finally finalizing the work. So you can see we're not rushing this process. We want to get it right. In closing, what's been reinforced for me through this process is that there's tremendous value in the power of student voice. When we empower students to be part of the process, we have a better chance of creating a school culture that works for all of our students. So thank you for your presence today. Please feel free to reach out to me or to our student education coach, KK Owen, for more information. And know that we stand ready to help you if you're considering a process like this in your organization. Thank you.